What's up, guys? Bam, right in your face. It's your boy GRC. This is Crypto in the Morning. This is the best, most consistent, most comprehensive crypto show in the world, and it will continue to be moving forward. Okay, let's get that situated. Guys, we have crazy guests on the show today. The most requested guest in the history of Crypto in the Morning. Gunther wants round two. And then you know what? He's like, let's get some spiciness on. I gave Hodprill a little DM. She said, let me grab my coffee and let's go. Okay. And then we have an extra special guest today, guys. We got a guest who's a sock master. Okay. And the socks that he has, I want some. Okay. But guys, we're playing around today. I'm trying to have fun. I'm trying not to be so uptight. Life's good. Just go with the flow a little bit. We're talking numbers, crypto all the time, but we're in a bear market, guys. People are wrecked. Terra Luna V3 airdrop. Who knows what's going to happen next? It's ridiculous. But there are little beacons of hope within the crypto space. We all know about Hex. We all know about PULSECHAIN coming up. We all claimed our free Pulse Dogecoin. Okay. I got thousands of dollars with free Pulse Dogecoin. And as someone who's young and doesn't have that much money, that was nice. That felt nice. Like, it doesn't matter what anyone says, whether rug this, that, the other meme coin. I'm like, someone gave me 22 or 3,000 or whatever the heck it was at the time. And I was grateful. So I looked into it a little more. And, I'm a researcher. I'm a crypto analyst. Let's talk about everything, right? We want to talk about security a little today, too, because I have a feeling Sam's on a little security tick. Guys, we'll be back in 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Let's listen to RH do a little boogie, boogie, boogie. Everyone, this is an incredible time to dollar cost average into your favorite cryptos. I'm not going to tell you what to buy, okay? That's ridiculous. I'm a gym rat. But I am going to tell you that all the stuff that you hear from the legitimate YouTube guys with over 50,000 subs, over 60,000 subs, they're 100% paid out. They're 100%. People are already in my DMs trying to give me money for everything that I do. Trust me, the industry is weird. It doesn't make sense. Most of them will sell out. You have to be very careful about who you listen to, guys. It's super important. And that's why I really stand for, the RH ecosystem. Everything else is a little bonus. But for right now, I'm pretty much focused on the RH ecosystem moving forward, guys. I will be right back.
Young folks, you tripping on them motherfucker.
Rich at heart. Rich at heart.
Bought my Hex from the fucking start. .1 every day we mark. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm rich at heart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hair restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm rich at heart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hair restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Checking my MetaMask moving. Look at the Hex, he is mooning. Looking at wives they be choosing. Peter is why they be losing. Pull chains out and get me a check. He's gas up and got me a mess. Remember the times he died collect. Hex I been eating, I'm dying in the best. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this post, I ain't letting go. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this post, I ain't letting go. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm rich at heart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hair restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm rich at heart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hair restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Rich at heart. Rich at heart. Rich at heart. Rich at heart. Getting this back like a year ago.
Let's get Sam, how are you doing this morning?
I'm excited. I'm excited to meet some new people. I'm excited to talk about Pulse Doge. Something that you said everybody has claimed, which is not a true statement because I have not claimed any Pulse Doge. Also, maybe talk a little security and just pick people's brains because everybody has something to share that is interesting that I can learn from. So I'm interested and I'm excited to talk to some new people today.
We're going to bring them in and we're going to introduce them. And then, Sam, I'm pretty much going to give you the floor while I mess around a little bit and try to set up the show. Guys, let's bring them in.
Whoa, look at this. We got a full house here tonight. Good morning, everybody. How is everybody doing today?
Sam, don't scream.
Doing well. This is
that's the OCD right there, guys.
Hey, guys. Before we get in, let me just say hi to the chat real quick because I'm probably going to not be super interactive with the chat today because I'm going to focus. Hex Tattooer, how you doing? T-Bird, good to see you. Tyrannosaurus Hex, Heinz Crypto, Flat Earth Underground. Gunther just brings the ratings with him. He just brings the ratings with us on his back. And a lot of people in this community respond a lot to what you have been doing on Twitter, and I think it's been pretty fun. And I've been doing it too. I turned into some meme guy now. I never have sent these little pictures with the rockets going up people's butts and the hot girls. Like, this is all funny. This stuff is brand new to me, and it's absolutely electric. I'm like learning it from the Pulse Dogecoin Telegram group.
I've never been in memes either before. I used to like just talk down about them, but then after missing like Doge, I was like, well, Pulse Doge is my redemption.
So Gunther, tell us a little bit about, for the people that don't know you, right? We did a full episode with you. You've been all over Twitter. You have the rags to riches story for crypto, like an awesome ass story. And tell the people where you are, who you are, and a little bit about yourself. And I'm going to jump over to both of you guys after him.
Yeah. So I'm an early Hex investor. Have very unique, interesting, like weird, like background with like, you could see some of my tweets. Like you could see that I was like in the military. I was a helicopter mechanic. I've worked for Solar City before as an energy consultant. Started my own precious metal business way back in the day, which failed miserably. I've done a few different things. Let's see, but
what's the most interesting thing that you like to share about your history with new people? And why don't you bring that up? Because if you find it probably interesting, I'm sure a lot of people will find it.
Well, maybe you can go back to that tweet you sent yesterday. I
got a bunch of attention.
You sent a tweet yesterday, and it was absolutely inspiring, to say the least. I mean, I can't remember the exact what you said because I think we had talked in person a little bit about it. But mention that where you came from. You said it was like one of your most proud, I think the proudest thing or something you said.
Yeah, like for me, like the most important accomplishment was not becoming rich from Hex, although I'm extremely proud of that accomplishment. But it was my emergence from a cult with very strong religious ideologies where I was essentially brainwashed from an infant all the way until I was 27. So I think that's much more powerful because unless you grow up in that background, I think the average person doesn't really know how much, strength and fortitude and self-awareness and courage it takes to actually leave that type of environment. Because, I mean, talk about being ostracized and hated. Like, it's just very challenging. It's hard to dig deep and, like, come out of that type of situation. Like, most people are, like, locked in for life, basically.
Oh, there's a lot of people that escape. And this is just totally from what I've noticed from talking around the blockchain. Lots of people from the Amish community didn't necessarily get along with it. And this could be completely unrelated. I could be completely ignorant about this. But a lot of people that didn't jive with their Amish family and maybe separated from that have found their way to Hex. It's funny. It's like something about that transformative experience where you actually cut like most people go through this life where they generally move and gradually, but you kind of had to smash whatever ideology you had at the time. And it seems like I definitely had to do that too. I was in jail when I was 19 and like in trouble and like I didn't know what was going on. I was like a kid, right? Like I was like, oh my God, am I going to be, everyone's telling me I'm going to be a drug addict forever. Everyone's telling me I'm in trouble forever. This is how my life's going to be forever. Everyone looked me in the face and said, Scott, this is who you are. And people know my name, so it doesn't matter, my first name. They said, this is who you are. And I said, fuck you. I was like, this is not who I am. F you.
Yeah.
Everybody's got, you know, something that's interesting or super unique to go through. Like I was homeschooled, but which is like you're like, okay, you're stereotypical like person who doesn't talk to people who doesn't like or nerdy, all that kind of shit, right? And it sounds like the version of your reality might have been even more extreme than being homeschooled your whole life, because I don't know any of the background on that. I don't know if you want to mention that or something, but I also, before we get into that, let's hear from you guys. Hot Pro, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Because this is new for me. You guys have probably seen her on Twitter. You guys may have, you have a YouTube channel?
No, I don't. I just show up on other people's streams. It's a misconception. I don't. Yeah.
She's the smartest, cutest girl that we got that streams in crypto. Hey, we're bringing on more girls. You told us. You said the tweet the other day. You want more girls in crypto. GRC wants more girls in crypto.
Please.
Period.
More women, please.
And I don't care. I'm not saying I want like blonde bimbo girl. I just want people to. This is a community, right? And I think it's important to not like people like you are opening. Where do you see yourself in this group? Because I think you are in the development world of some sort.
I was a game dev on the art side for years, and then the story goes I mined crypto and kind of stopped and went back to school and learned some of the stuff I wanted to learn, and it was good, but it was Bitcoin mining originally, and but before that I did game animation mostly, but game dev, game art stuff.
Now, is that field, I don't know much about the art field. Is that generally, since it's digital, men, or is it women and men equal?
It's always more men, like in any dev environment, whether it's art. The art department usually has more women though. If I were to take a cross-section of it.
Now, what's your experience as being a woman in this? I mean, you're a woman. You're on Twitter with all the guys. Let's be honest. All the dudes on Twitter saying whatever they want all the time, me included, absolutely ignorant on Twitter. And it's just like my playground. Like I've never had an ignorant place, but you're on there. You're pretty graceful on there. You know, people treat you really well on there too. How did you kind of break through that, right? And I'm being honest here. I just want to be super honest. You kind of broke through that. Like, I'm very nice to you. All the guys are very nice to you. You're very nice to everyone else, and you bring value to the table. It's like, is that something that you kind of just kept showing up and you were like, guys will be guys. People say weird shit, and then you just kept moving through it?
I don't really notice much because I'm a little dingy in that respect, I guess, to where I'm just not that easily offended. I don't know.
Well, that's good.
People have to remind me to be offended about a statement when I'm out shit posting, right? Like literally, I'm just going marketing. Kind of what I'm doing on Twitter is going to famous, or pickup artist sites, which is where I get a lot of the fun stuff, and just I kind of shill hex a little bit, right? But I try to, I try to joke around with it so they'll look and they'll call me an idiot. I'm like, oh, you are an idiot, or just stuff that's funny, because Twitter's really made for just messing with people and being an idiot. You can only have just a certain amount of words on there, so it's like either a sick burn or just some quick shilling of a specific token. It's great for crypto, get people into it. Famous people are on there or whatever, so I don't know. It's all right.
That's funny, because I get a lot of messages from different people, and there's one of two things that I found. I'm sure everybody gets messages, right? But there's on average there's two things that people message you about. They're like, they want like, hey, Gunther, I had this question about this, or hey TP, I had this question about this thing, and I saw you talk about it. Can you point me in like the right direction, or is this accurate, or where do I find this resource? Right? They're seeking information. And then there's the other group of people who are trying to sell you on something, where in your case, right, they're trying to sell you on a date or to talk to them type of thing. For me, they're trying to sell me on fucking something related to business. And I turn around, I've been doing this for like 6 months now, and I try to just sell them something. Like, and then they immediately shut up, or they call you, they start calling you names. I was like, hey man, I'm not interested, but if you actually want to be more successful, here, let me help you out, blah, 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 or something along those lines.
Telegram is way better for actual information getting, and I split my time between Telegram and Twitter. So if you're really looking for info and to ask people questions, Do it where they don't have a word limit. Do it where it's immediate and there are more people in the chat. So go to the Telegrams if you have real in-depth questions.
Telegrams, before we move on, Telegrams are absolutely fantastic. Okay. I'm new to the Telegram world. I'm new to all this world. So I'm kind of like getting involved, learning. Everyone's seeing me. I'm kind of like popping around, just having a good time. And I'm in the chat for Legion VC News. I like that chat, and I'm not shilling anything. These are the chats that I just like to communicate in for people that maybe like these things. Legion VC News, Pulse Dogecoin, the Gym Rat chat. I have a chat for the show. I'll answer any questions you have about like the Hedron or anything like that, short-term stuff. Like there's these places you can go. You don't have to ask your questions on Twitter, where it benefits me that you're in my group, but it's also I'll give you information in my spare time. So it's a nice kind of like value prop for the people that have like channel stuff and businesses and stuff.
You know, the one thing I would add about Telegram is
and introduce yourself. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I was going to get to you next. I want you to introduce yourself, who you are and what you're about, and we invited you on the show. What's your name? You don't have to give your actual name, obviously.
Oh no, my fault. I didn't mean to interrupt intro, but no, I just want to add with Telegram. I feel like you definitely up your risk for exposure, your exposure to risk by like tenfold. Just be careful with Telegram. It's so much easier to get scammed.
Can you talk about that a little bit to give it a little bit more context? Because so for me, right, like I don't use Telegram very much in all honesty. Like I have it, but it's something that I got maybe 2-3 months ago, and I have it on my phone. But I mean, there might be several days where I don't even open the app, kind of thing. So can you talk about that risk exposure? This is 100% a selfish question, but I'm sure that some of the 100+ people watching will also find value in this.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I feel like most of the scams happen on Telegram, and I mean, to take you for example, it's like, okay, Mr. Sam Stolt, he obviously is a public figure. He's doing things publicly on Twitter, on Instagram, but there's a whole entire niche and social that he's not into. And so what if someone with ill intentions said, okay, I'm going to pretend to be Sam Stolt on Telegram, and there you go. So what I'm trying to get at is like, you have a lot of impersonation. You have a lot of people that it's easy to go ahead and, you know, fake being somebody else, and it's hard to verify. There's just a lot of more gray area
they can get that follower count right to about with bots, right to about whatever the account is near. And they do it on my Instagram all the time. I have like 2,600 followers on Instagram or something, and the bots that have me have like 8,000.
Like he's talking, I think DP is talking specifically about Telegram, because with Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, I can go click on the profile, look at the description, and see if there's anything there to verify that is the person.
But Sam, it pops up automatically on your feed. So if you're in the Pulse Dogecoin chat, Sam, for Telegram, if you are in it, Sam Stolt, just joined, brand new to Telegram. Let's say you just joined. You said, I like Pulse Dogecoin. Let me go there. There will be, without you knowing, because the chat won't be immediately covering this, because they'll just be talking about whatever, and another one will pop up. And if you're not savvy enough at looking, it'll just say Pulse Dogecoin airdrop. That's what it'll say. And it'll say extension airdrop, and then it'll be like 1,000 people in the group. And the people that are new and don't have this back and forth that we're having, it's the back and forth, Sam. You have this back and forth all day. You're learning these little insights. But for the new guy, he jumps right on there, clicks Pulse Doge airdrop. Are you kidding me? Dumps all his Pulse Doge right to that address or whatever. That would be an example. And then that's it. And then they go to the Pulse Doge channel. So, when's the airdrop? And everyone's like, dude.
So anybody, right? Because that happened to me when I got into crypto 90 days ago, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to claim a Hedron, right? And I'm getting like a 10x thing or whatever. So I was like, I don't know what I'm effing doing. So I get into the Telegram group because I couldn't get to connect to the site on the computer, and I was like, I have no idea what the hell I was doing. So I get in there, and I get up to DP's point, get into the Telegram group related to Hedron. It's like, these people are probably going to be the ones who are most passionate about it and can help answer my question. And I go in there, and I was like, hey guys, this is my fucking issue. I've tried this, and this. what's up? How do I solve this problem? And I immediately get 3 or 4 messages from other people. Alex, right? The official, whatever his account says, right? Copies of them. It says Alex. It's like, hey man, you need help with this. If you need to actually like claim your bonus Hedron, just click on this link here. You know what I mean? And going through this way. So DP or Gunther or Hadro, what are some steps that people like? How do you kind of pay attention to that so you're not like, because somebody's gonna get fucking destroyed.
I'll tell you what I do.
Please.
For my name, and Gunther's done this as well, because Gunther's been impersonated before. I put, "will never DM you" first in my name, and then I don't DM people first, because the problem is when people impersonate you, if my name is Hodpril, will not DM you first, and I'm DMing somebody, they're going to see that and wonder if it's a scam, and it will be, because I don't DM them first. Right. Yeah. So that's one sort of way to get around it. Another one is just ask people in the chat if it's them messaging you. There's no real way to know if I mean,
you can expose people too. Take a screenshot and post it in the chat and just be like, hey, do you guys interact with this person? Right? If I get a message from Gunther and he's trying to be like, hey man, you should send this address here and I'll send you 2 back. And I'm
any
like,
address
take a screenshot.
Should just get off. I mean, a lot of the mods will keep their eyes open for any stupidness like that. Sometimes there will even be the chat will be set up to where if there is any wallet address posted, it's just nixed right off the bat in the main chat. And just be careful. Only or you know what you can do? You can ask somebody to DM you in the chat. That is okay too. But usually unsolicited chats, be careful, because don't click the links. Don't click the links on the same computer that you're doing your crypto on.
That's good advice.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a great point. If you're new on Telegram, just keep your chats public, and just try to be wary of if you're talking a botted channel. I mean, with crypto, it's the Wild West, right? With risk, there comes like a high level of opportunity. So it's just that warning is I mean, to speak for myself, man, like the reason I'm operating off a phone and I'm doing things kind of like bootleg is because my computer is a $2,000 crypto wallet. I'm so scared to touch that thing for anything else. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, I've been in the space, and it's like, just 100% with you. I haven't even claimed Hedron just because, dude, like, I'm
that's real. That's reality though. It's important. People in the chat feel the same way. So continue.
Right.
No, please. Because what DP is saying, and I was going to say this before you started to answer, when somebody DMs you, or you're in like a private message with somebody, and you're asking a question that in your mind, the story you're telling yourself is that this is a foolish, simple, basic, dumb, whatever story you decide to create in your mind about whatever it is that you're talking about, expose that. It will make you feel better about asking questions in the future. And there's other people that feel the same way. Listen to what DP just said. He didn't even go through and claim his free money with Hedron through this process, right? And there might have been other reasons. Go ahead if you want to talk about that a little bit more.
Oh no, it's not to. I'm just paranoid. My only thing, I'm only pointing out to my level of paranoia. And during the first days, claim of even Pulse Doge, it's like I didn't claim when it first came out because of, again, all this risk that's involved with crypto. So definitely, it's just do your due diligence. It's kind of the reason we've had to do 4 different audits with Pulse Doge. I mean, it's like after one you think it's enough, and then after another one you think it's enough, but then it's like, nah. People really need to feel secure, and that's okay, and that's fine. I mean, we're at a point where we have to do that in order to kind of increase adoption. People have seen the amount of wrecked, and they've seen the amount of blood that's, I mean, we can get into that in we've all had losses this in the bull market. I'm sure we've got rugged, and we have crazy losses in the bear market, but it's just for the people that are looking at crypto, they have to find the appeal. And if we're over here with our battle wounds and we're just barely able survive the day to day, there's no appeal to that,
Dude, It's a great point, though. I've really enjoyed what you guys are saying, because it's just more of the reality of the situation. Like maybe some of us have moved past that, but people DM me all the time. They're like, I'm scared to plug my Trezor into my computer. You know what I mean? Like they don't. It's just scary. It's new, but this is early adoption, so that's the price you pay.
Gunther, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, because I feel with a little bit of context I know about you that there might be a framework that you use or a thought process to go through and say, or AdPro, because of your development background, where when something comes out, like PulseDoge or Hedron or this 69 other type of projects that come out, how do you go about understanding for yourself to know if it's like a good, if you're like, is this just ripping people off? Is this like the development team's good? Like how do you sit in your path to move forward to be like, click it, okay, versus like, it's brand new, skeptical, could be a scam, could just be ripping people off, they haven't found out about it yet, could be implanting this or whatever the case is. How do you get through that process for yourself? Is it talking to people? Is it researching? I'm curious, because for myself, but I'm sure it'll be helpful for people as well.
Yeah, there are a couple, we can unpack that a little bit. So for example, if you're going to claim Hedron or claim PulseDoge, it's pretty safe. Like when you connect to those dApps, it tells you exactly what you're giving permission for. You're not giving permission for infinite spend limits, right? You're giving permission to view addresses and suggest transactions to approve. And that's very typical for anything that you're like. That's very typical, like safe way of like claiming like free airdrops, right? You would want to be careful if it was something that would give you like where you're giving permission for like infinite spend limits. Even with OpenSea, I noticed I sold some, I wrapped some 5555 HSIs and I tokenized them and sold them on OpenSea, because you tokenize them into NFTs and list them on OpenSea. And one thing I didn't like is that I had to give them permission to spend my USDC, because when I sell those HSIs, I'm receiving USDC from the buyer, and OpenSea keeps a 2.5% commission fee in USDC. I mean, I did it enough times where it was okay. I mean, I sold $750,000 worth of HSIs to a shark and Hex, so it's okay. But I'm just saying, you really need to know what you're doing. Now, as far as by the way, I just gave you the solution for over-the-counter selling Hex. You don't have to be, you don't need to dump 87 million Hex on the open market to crash the price like a retard. Sorry for using that language, but I'm just saying, like, it's really dumb. You could actually do over-the-counter trades with other people that are interested in buying. In terms of the code, me personally, I'm not a developer. I took one C++ class. I don't know code, right? I don't know how to write code. But I have devs that I trust that will go through the code and they will analyze it and present any type of security risk or vulnerabilities that they see. And then you can start to go through it and research and see, okay, are these real issues that we should be worried about? One issue that with PulseDoge, for example, was no one could verify the Merkle tree route. Like they couldn't work their way back.
I'm sorry to go on a tangent. What is a Merkle tree?
Dude, that's outside the scope of my knowledge. I won't speak on that now. But I just essentially let's try to like dumb it down, and I'm going to be very careful because my knowledge is limited in this area. But let's just say that there's certain addresses for PulseDoge that could claim, and those claimable addresses had to have at least one open or active hex stake as of April 20th at some specific point in time. And if they did, then that address is part of the set of claimable addresses, which ties back into like this Merkle tree. But you have to be able to work your way back through it and discover all the addresses that are contained in that set. Because if you can't work back through the Merkle tree to verify, there could be some hidden addresses that could mint like maybe like unlimited amount of tokens that you don't know about. Like that's the security risk. Maybe Hodpro can speak more on this because that's a little bit outside the scope of my knowledge.
Well, Hodpro, to Gunther's point, appreciate your insight on it. How do you, so some, ABC Pulse fucking project comes out and they're like, hey, connect over here, we'll give you free shit. Like, how do you become comfortable enough to actually do that? Like, is it just like talking to Gunther, talking to DB, listen to see if other people are talking about it? Is there something like you're going through, reading through the whole site like as well? Is it like, I want to hear your thoughts on how you approach something to understand if it's trustworthy to yourself.
Okay, I'll say a little bit about my personality type and how this plays into it, because like with DP saying, you know, he's a little bit paranoid and that's okay. My name's Hodprol. Hodlers usually do research instead of trading. It's still time consuming, but that's kind of what happens. And they usually have a little higher of either wisdom trading or kind of a higher paranoia level. So the answer to that is all of the above. I will ask other people what their, I'll let them do it first. I'll see what their situation is. If, you know, wait a few days, see what happens. I mean, and usually, sometimes that means at the expense of making some massive gains, being one of the first people knowing something and being a part of it with the pump, but that's okay. There are permissions. There's specific permissions that you can look at when you connect your MetaMask. They can only do what you will allow them to do. But even with that, with free claims, and this is my personal way I do things, if there's a sacrifice versus a free claim, I'll sacrifice instead on a different wallet. If I free claim on any hex or anything, I have multiple wallets. I'll use half of my stakes to free claim and the other half not to. I just diversify every single thing just in case. And that's with wallets, that's with free claims and everything. Honestly, if the permissions don't allow for unlimited spending on your wallet, you're probably fine. I mean, Hex itself was an airdrop to Bitcoin holders, was it not? So, I mean, every original Hexagon has clicked sure on their airdrop, right? So there technically wouldn't be any OGs that would be so averse as to not do such a thing. Diversify, do a lot of research, ask people, all of the above. Be careful, right?
So when you guys have both mentioned the permissions, when I've never read through them personally, right?
It asks you when you
and you go through, and is it something like very simple? It's like, hey, this is like, you know, the ones
it's pretty simple.
Okay.
It's pretty
Or
simple.
is it like a toss, like a terms of service or something where it's like 17 pages long and just shit that nobody's ever gonna fucking read?
No, it's what will you? It's kind of like when you. It's a similar way of you know, when something asks you, can we use your location? Can we use your camera? Sort of thing, like a, I don't know,
On your phone.
some Apple thing. Yeah, it's a similar sort of question of what, you know, will you allow this to happen? You kind of see it when you you'd connect your wallet to Matcha. They'll ask you permission to do certain things, whatnot. So it's pretty straightforward.
So this is, I think it's a fascinating conversation. It's probably helpful to a lot of people. Before we got on here, we were talking about wallets. Yesterday, I had a conversation for about an hour with Jesse from Liquid Loans.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how you could use a treasure, and they have the hidden wallet, or it sometimes uses different vernacular to describe a hidden wallet. And as he was describing this, it's like solving mental problems for me, because I don't care to necessarily have 14 different wallets. I just that just doesn't seem super awesome to me. I understand if you're having, you know, multiple hex stakes, right, and having them all in one, clearly a fucking risk, right? I completely get that. But the idea of having, you know, 14 different things, then you got to manage those things, and at what point do you draw the line? And then as time goes on, now you're at 26, right, 4 years later, and now you're at 37, like, and the shit dies over time, and you're trying to manage all that stuff. It just doesn't seem like a super awesome, like, way of doing things from my point of view. So when he was describing this treasure and the hidden wallet on there as a way to reducing the risk associated with you losing or your secrets getting destroyed, you can have multiple hidden wallets. And I don't have one, and I'm not claiming that I fully understand this. Is repeating the information from him. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was valuable for me, and I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts on this. So you can have one seed phrase on the treasure, and you can have 13 different hidden phrases, which is, as we talked about earlier, you mentioned this is basically a password, where you can set
either 13 or 25, depending on your seed phrase.
And having that additional one that you create on there allows you to say, if I was running a business where I needed Gunther to take care of a certain portion of the business and have access to funds of a certain amount, I could have the one for the main bank account, basically, for myself, and then set up a separate one where we both have the passwords to the account. So Gunther could get in, I could get in, but if he would also need access to the seed phrase. So in order to access my account, there's no way for him to do that unless he knows my password. And that I could store here, so it gets rid of some of the issues related to writing it down on a piece of paper, right? Where you're like, you probably wrote shit down on a piece of paper 10 years ago, right? And do you still have that piece of paper? Is it still even legible? Has it disintegrated? Have bugs got on it? Has their humidity destroyed it? Has like all this kind of stuff, right? You moved probably, or like all those kinds. And I'd like to hear your thoughts in general, all of you, about what that is. Like, what is something that like I'm not seeing? And then also, last question on this: if treasure goes away, right? If they go away as an entity, do you lose access to the hidden wallets? Because from my understanding with him, which I don't have, that is a software feature of treasure. So please, whoever wants to touch on that first, whoever has experience in that, I'd love to hear from you guys.
And then after this, Sam, I know you're bugging out about security right now, but I want to introduce DP. Seriously, Sam, you gotta remember, like, you're talking about all the nuanced security stuff that you've probably been thinking about for the last month, which is great. But now we're getting a little bit into the weeds as far as the 20. I know about the 20. Are you talking about the one extra word passphrase that's on the ledger, not the Trezor?
The treasure.
It's not. Is it on the Trezor?
I think it's actually part of the seed phrase option. There are multiple it's passphrase option, right?
I think he used different vernacular, so he used that at one time as well. But he also called it a hidden wallet.
Yeah, you can call it the hidden wallet too. Multiple passphrases can be used to create multiple wallets on the same seed. It's just the extra word. You can actually branch out into different wallets with that one seed phrase.
I would use different wallets, to be honest. You don't have to go crazy, but maybe even if you had like 3 different wallets so that you could divide the risk in case one wallet was compromised, you want different sets of seed words. And sure, initially when people get into crypto, you make it simple. You're like, yeah, okay, you could write down your seed words on maybe 3 different pieces of paper and store it 3 separate locations that are secure. However, what if there's a fire? Or what if somebody finds that piece of paper? There's all kinds of risks, right? So I think you should you could reach out to Jexa. He's part of the Hex community. And I actually at one point had ordered some plates from him, steel plates. They're 2 millimeters thick. They're non-destructible. They're fireproof. And you don't even put all your words on one plate. Like, for example, let's say you have 24 words, right? Or 12 words, doesn't matter. You could divide them up in 3 equal parts. Let's call the first part A, and the second part B, and the third part C. And then what you do is on one plate, you can put AB. On another plate, you can put AC. And then on another plate, you can put BC. And you don't store the 3 plates together. You store them in 3 separate locations. So if you lose one plate or one person steals a plate, they don't have all your words, so they can't steal your money because they only, let's say it was a 24-word password. Well, they only have 16 words. But because they took one plate, you still have 2 plates left, and you can recreate the 24 words because you set it up A, B, A, C, and BC. Sorry, I probably confused a lot of people with that. The basic concept is secure your fucking words on plates so that you don't lose them in a fire, and break them up and divide the risk, and don't put all your money in one wallet. Like, just divide the risk, especially if you got like Hex stakes and you got liquid money, you got liquid Pulse Doge, you got whatever, Liquid Hex, and then when PulseChain launches, you got Liquid Pulse, PulseX, all that. Divide the risk. Don't put everything all together.
So like that's an interesting way of doing it. So A, B, or AC or something would be the overlapping sections of the, if it's 24 words, maybe use 8 and 8 or something like that to have.
Yeah, exactly. You overlap them. So you need 2 plates to recover the wallet, right? And then let me say something about seed words too. Super important. Never take a screenshot. Never take a screenshot. Never take a fucking screenshot. You don't know who's looking at that. Is somebody at Verizon looking at that? AT&T? Is somebody at Google looking at that? They're looking at
Probably.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
you literally
Yes,
just gave them
they
the
are.
private key to your wallet with hundreds of millions of dollars.
And it's in the cloud with all those cloud guys, you know, chilling.
I'll expand on that very quickly.
Yeah.
In the BIP39, it's actually a mnemonic, right? So all of the words that you would use in any sort of seed are part of a numbered mnemonic phrase. Then there is a number correlated to each one of these words. So you can also store it as a number. So to further obfuscate what it is, if it's not obviously a seed phrase, you can use its corresponding number as well.
Can you expound on that, like using the alphabet as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 26, and then transcribing it that way, like you would like, what was that thing they did, you know, in Germany? What was the?
No, they have assigned numbers to each word, so you'd want
Pardon?
to use the official. You'd want to use the official number to each one of the words. Like April is, I believe, 82 on the BIP39 mnemonic, so 0082, if I remember correctly.
You also don't want things so complicated that if you get into an accident and you get some type of brain injury or whatever, like you can't even get access to your own money and none of your family understands it either. So you could have things that are so secure that no one gets access to your money, including you. But you could also have it too unsecure where there's too many like attack vectors and too many like vulnerabilities. So you need like some type of balance, right? Another thing just to add to this whole topic, in addition to what Hotbro was saying, is you're going to have people. So if you could interact with malicious sites. For example, metamask.io, there's malicious sites that are misspelled, the URL. And if you're not careful, you think you're creating an original MetaMask wallet. When you get those new words and then you send money in, guess what? The scammer who set up the site now has your words and then goes into your wallet and takes all your money. It's like rest in peace for that wallet.
Well, he might wait a little bit for you to get all your funds in there. You know.
Yeah.
Sometimes they wait for you to milk it a little bit. But.
Yeah, sure. But I mean,
there's an art to stealing. But I got
an idea.
I'm moving on from the security conversation because security is great, guys, and we will do a full episode on security and everything specific as we move forward, and we've done them in the past. But I want to move on to DP. DP, who are you? I want to know. Okay, I want to know who you are. You've been honest up to us far. Give great information. I mean, you basically said where you were at. Amazing, incredible. I love that you were being transparent about where you were at, and that's super important on this show. What else? Who are you, and what do you do? Like, what's your interaction with the Hex community, with crypto, with Pulse Dogecoin?
That's a great question. Man, all right. Well, I guess I've been part of the Hex community for a while. I've been trolling Gunther from the first day I ever met him. So. And then I mean Jim Rat, Sam I've been trolling on Twitter a little bit. Hod Pro I've pretty much respected his space. You know, so yeah, I've just been a part of the community, you know. When the whole bull run started, I've been a fan of art and NFTs, so you know, it's been kind of polarizing being a fan of Richard and everything he has to say, and you know, and just kind of like trying to be a student at the same time, trying to have my own unique beliefs and all of that. So when he has like such a strong stance on NFTs, you know, it took me by surprise. So for the last year and a half, I've just been kind of diving into this whole entire degeneracy, like the degen side of crypto. I'm totally new. I'm totally new to this whole entire space, this financial, you know, instrument as far as how people are using it within on a daily basis, how countries are using it to, you know, fund different, you know, things that they want to accomplish. It's just been this whole entire learning experience for me. So I'm fairly new, and when I jumped in, I really wanted to go ahead and kind of have like investments that I could kind of predict and be like, okay, well, you know, I really like this community, I trust this community, I understand what this might be, and so that's why I really fell in love with what Richard had to say. And then, like I said, it was the whole entire degen NFT side that just brought essentially the whole entire other crowd that I was involved in. It was like, okay, well, you know, I come from this professional sector in the sense of like, okay, we're building a bunch of businesses, IRL, you know, all these different things. And then I have a whole bunch of degen friends that, you know, we go raves, we go do a whole bunch of different things. Like, you know, like it's just, we just live life a little bit. You know what I mean?
I can see you're hitting the gym as well, just note it.
Get some gains over there, bro. Yeah, there we go.
That Delp vein. No
Hot go over there too.
Hey,
I don't have any gains.
that was, you know, so I mean, just to tangent real quick, I really love what you guys are doing with this whole entire push. I mean, with the whole entire gym fitness thing, it's amazing. Like that was the biggest thing for me too, was when Hex came in, I was like, you know what, I can really focus on, you know, my lifestyle. I can focus on certain things that blah blah gave me time, blah blah. Anyway, so who am I? Let's come back. I'm a little spaced out right now, so let me draw it back. Who am I? I'm the guy that kind of saw all this degen energy and had a whole bunch of degen friends, and I wanted to save a bunch of people in the sense of like I really saw the value proposition of the whole entire RH ecosystem. And it was really hard for me to go ahead and talk facts without feeling like I'm pouring out Kool-Aid for people. Like I'm like, you know, like if it's hard for me to just really like, hey, this is how it is because of this reason and this reason. It was just really hard for me to kind of, you know, just approach the subject without finding common ground. So I played in the NFTs, I played in, you know, Bitcoins a lot, and just full transparency, I think my whole entire tuition I paid over the last year and a half was about $180,000, just because I got involved with things like I got in Polygon, man. And, you know, the whole thing with Polygon is like, when people think, you know, like Hodpro's obviously incredibly smart, you know, Gunther's obviously incredibly smart, but I'm a potato. So people say, you know, like things, you know.
Hey, I'm a gym rat.
Yes, dude. You know, like it's just,
I'm just a gym
you
rat.
know,
Yeah, I don't know if you can tell what we spend all of our time doing, bro.
it's like you can be speaking to me, and I'm like, all right, well, you know, what's the purpose? What's the point? Type of thing. You know what I mean? So it's just with this whole not your keys, not your coins on Polygon. It was like, all right, what is this mantra? What is this mantra people keep saying and blah blah blah. And then, you know, I was a part of Iron Finance, and, you know, Mark Cuban was a part of that too, and we got all our money just out of nowhere, you know. And I was a strong believer in investing into to pre-sales, and so I put like, just because money was stupid back then, or at least, you know, it was stupid in the bull run. So it's like I would just put in like $40,000 into a pre-sale. What happened to the pre-sale? Oh, I guess there's nothing. I guess I just went and, you know, funded another village. And so it was like it was like this constant just constant believing in something, wanting to be a part of something. And then I became a cat admin for like 4 months, and over September 2021 to like December 2021, I was a cat admin. And it was just, you know, I believed in it. Dude, I hired the Island Boys. I did the whole entire, you know.
Oh, did you do that cameo thing? I saw the cameo on TikTok of the Island Boys. Oh, Hex is their hair is like all fucking crazy.
I hired them because they were actually not bad. It was a very
Wait, you're saying, hold on one sec. Hold on.
Great, this is awesome.
Let me clarify something real quick. First of all, Bullish Ox in the chat here, producer Bullish, he's bullish on Pulse D socks.
Let's go.
Okay, we'll get to that in 1 second, because I feel like I'm bullish on Pulse D socks too. But you just mentioned the Island Boys. I could pull that video up in a couple seconds here. The Island Boys. They mentioned Hex.
Bullish, can you grab that video of the Island Boys?
Are you telling me that you had something to do with that?
No. I was a cat admin, so I had seen the kind of value.
What's a cat?
proposition.
What?
It was this shitcoin called Metacat, and they were going to be.
I'm a big Club Kitties guy. I like Club Cats.
That's what I said, dude. I have my cats
love
are
Club
destroying my house. You know, so it was like I've only been rugged. So the $40,000 pre-sale, guess what the coin was called? Cats. You know, like I've only been rugged by
name.
cats in my whole entire crypto career. It's been crazy.
First it's YouTube and cat videos wasting people's time, and then it's crypto with cat meme coins stealing people's money. What?
I love your honesty with everything so far.
I appreciate that.
I do need to know. I'm a noob, bro. I only know like DeFi stuff. So it's weird because I'm like the first wave of guy that like only knows about Hex and Pulse and like Bitcoin, but nothing else. Like I never learned DGen life. I just
It's kind of nice.
Oh, it's great. I was in paid courses and they were, I did a couple bad trades here and there, but basically I found my way to dollar cost crypto, Motley Investor, guys like that. Eventually, right after a couple $800 whoopsie poo poos, and I found my way to these guys, and they said, no, we're not getting paid for nothing. Like, just listen up for a second. You're a young man, listen up. And I listen up when guys get to me like that, and they say, hey, we have experience, we've been here, we're doing this. They were talking the talk, they were DMing me, we were in Telegrams. I immediately knew like this is. But I forgot what the point was. But I want to know about the Pulse D socks.
Well, the Pulse D socks, I mean,
keep it simple, dumb it down, really simple.
So, because seriously, we don't know. I don't understand. And me and Sam are like, no.
I didn't even claim my Pulse Doge. So like,
all right.
So tell me about them, as in like, hey, bro, I know nothing about Pulse Doge.
Him and Hodpril are both metal underneath the skin.
Got you. Okay. So value proposition. It's hard to dumb it down. Let me just cliff notes. Like Gunther said, dog picture, price go up. So simple. Certain things, it's just people just invest in it. So Pulse Doge socks is an expansion to an already W idea. It's a fun idea, and there are some fundamentals in tokenomics. I think at the core, it is a opportunity. We are trying to create more opportunity for creators. When you go look at the tokenomics and where the money goes, it essentially is fed back into the ecosystem. So currently there is no staking, there is no inflationary type of tokenomic attached to Pulse Doge. So I wanted to go ahead and kind of give that to the ecosystem. Now there's no promises, but like I said, I've been in Hex for a while. I've sacrificed for PulseChain. I've wanted to give back to a lot of people. Even, like I said, the whole reason why I brought up all the pain is not so that people can be like, wow, feel bad. It's so that it's just like you can understand where I'm coming from. Like I've held off on doing a project for a while, and it's just after getting, like, you can look at my wallet, I just have JPEGs of stupid, oh my god. Anyway,
it's funny because like that stuff scares me. Like if somebody sent me like an NFT, I'd be like scared. Like, but like Hedron and stuff doesn't scare me at all because I like talk to those guys a lot. But like I've never had NFT other than the ones that people make of me that are really awesome, by the way. Like all those things are really cool, and I like those ones, of course. So I'm going to switch it over to Gunther for a little tokenomics game theory here.
Yeah, let me just start with like the basics, right? So when we're talking about socks, at first we're just talking about physical pair of socks, right? It's very cool, high quality design socks, right? So when we first, I guess in the early days, it still is the early days, but originally you could send one Pulse Doge to an ETH address, which we call the sock DAO, and in exchange you would get one physical sock, and you would get one NFT, which hasn't been created yet. Where DP is basically in the process of hiring female artists to create NFTs, and those are the NFTs that you will be able to get when you send a Pulse Doge for a sock, right? So in the early days, or when it first started, I should say, you would send one Pulse Doge, you get one sock, and then you'll be put on a list to get an NFT. But the price only moves up like the share price in Hex. So then it was like, okay, you got to send 2 Pulse Doge for one sock, then 4, then 8, then 16, then 32, then 64. It's currently at 128. You now have to, and it only goes up to 512. It's a limited amount, right? So once you get to 512, that's it. And DP can expound more on like the numbers, but the point is, the price only goes up. You got to send 128 Pulse Doge. You get one sock, which means if you want a pair of physical socks, you actually have to send 256 Pulse Doge. That's an expensive pair, right? And then of course you get NFT. Now let me just say this: why would anyone care about socks?
That's literally he's reading my mind. I'm like,
yeah, who cares?
Why would I ever fucking do this?
Well, have you ever pulled up the price chart of Unisocks? It literally went up 397 million times in 1 month in value. Hello? Like, we're in crypto. We only care about making money, right? Let's be honest. We don't care about utility. Sure, Brazology mentioned, like, why are you guys wasting time basically with buying tokens with like dog logos? And to answer that, because think about the millions of people that have bought Doge and Shiba and Shima and all the other dogs or whatever, or Chima or whatever it's called. Think about all these people. We want to bring them into the ecosystem, right? So we need to get on their level. We need to communicate with them in a language that they understand, that's effective. And the way that we do that is we basically, Pulse Doge is Trojan horse. We introduce them to this dog coin, which is just a basic ERC20 token that's on Ethereum, and then you'll get the free copy on PulseChain. And we are able to draw them in this way. But we want to bring money in from all of these meme coin outside communities. We don't want to cannibalize the Hex community. We really don't want their money. We want outside money. We want Doge's money. Even if we got just Doge's money and not any other meme token, it would be crazy how high the price of Pulse Doge could actually go. I mean, you're talking basically matching the price of Bitcoin.
It's safe to say you don't care if the people that got a free claim just hold it and never sold it. Like, you wouldn't care if they bought more, because you feel like the adoption and what's potentially good, you know, as we all saw Pulse Doge 64,000% from the bottom. You know what I mean? And so you're kind of saying, like, you don't care if people buy. So for everyone in the thing that just thinks Gunther wants every Hexican to buy as much, it's not true. It's stupid.
Plus, it's literally playing into what Legacy does, right? So Legacy is my background in finance, accounting. And in that world, you have probably 60 to 80% of the people who purchase mutual funds, stocks, ETFs, bond funds, anything at all in Legacy don't have any fucking clue what they're doing or what they're purchasing. Most people have no idea what they're doing. And when you look at crypto, the meme coin is exactly that, right? It's a representation of this giant swath of people who put money into things that they're not like diving in to really understand what is going on, but they're intelligent, right? Or at least in some capacity of their facet of their life, they're intelligent, and this is taking advantage of that to help bring, at least I don't want to fully get the picture, but to help take advantage of that to grab those people in and be like, hey, start paying attention to shit. There's better things out there than just putting your money into different things and pulling those people into this ecosystem. Is that
real quick before you answer that? Biceps in the chat. If I've been bothering Axis Live a lot in his DMs to come on the show, so in order to pressure him, Biceps in the chat if you want a Axis episode. Biceps in the chat, guys. All right,
let's go.
You definitely want Axis for sure.
Biceps in the chat, guys.
Yes.
What's going on about Legacy?
You got to do one at a time, hot girl. Me to the side.
Hey, so like most, think about if we break down crypto in a very simplistic way. all the arguments that people talk about, like, oh, we want a token with utility. Oh, we want this token because it has like really complex tokenomics. Yeah, I get that, but honestly, that goes way over people's head. People don't give two fucks about solving the Byzantine generals problem. They don't care about mathematics. They don't care about computer science. They don't care about all this complicated shit. All that they care about is making money, and people love simple things like dogs and cats and whatever. Remember crypto kitties and all that stuff. So, and look at Doge. Doge is just the perfect example. You have to inject, by the way, so much money into Doge just to paint it sideways, because Doge inflates at 10,000 tokens per minute. That means you need some I forget the math, but some crazy amount of money, like a really large amount, $450 million a year or something, just to paint it sideways, not to even push the price up. Imagine if you took a tenth of that money and put it into something like Pulse Doge with low liquidity, and you have benevolent whales who only care about accumulating the tokens and hoarding them, so that they could behave like monetary policy for the asset, or like the De Beers Group, or like the Hex OA. You just let a small amount trickle into circulation over time. So at the end of the day, my point is people don't care. It has dog, buy button. It has kitten, cat, buy button. Like they just don't care. They want to make money. Everyone wants to make money. Let's stop lying to ourselves. Richard Hart taught all of this. Why are people now pretending that that's not true? I've seen this a lot, even within the Hex community, but it has no utility. It has no utility. Yeah, hello. No one cares about utility. No one. People only want to make money. That's it.
That's true. But you know what? Like, just to go on a tangent real quick to bring it back to the socks and reading what Bristology has to say, and it's like and what Gunther has to say about not recycling money within our own ecosystem. And I mean, going back to a point, the reason why I ventured off and was like the prodigal son was because every time Gwei does spike, like within the last few days, every time it goes above a 40, a 50, a 60, you can bet your bottom dollar a new mint is happening, or someone's buying a freaking JPEG. Every time that Gwei goes up, it's not because some YFI fork or anything else. It's because of JPEGs. It literally is because of JPEGs. So that happens almost daily. And we're talking about a very large percentage of the industry is involved in these JPEGs. And so the reason PulseDog Sock DAO is important is because we only work with PLSD within our ecosystem. The reason all these things are important is because it expands the ecosystem. It makes PLSD even more deflationary. It gives me more opportunity to give back to the community. Right now, I'm platforming artists that wouldn't normally have a voice or wouldn't normally know about NFTs. So all the NFTs that are dropped are very unique. It's not some Fiverr artist that I found and it's like 20, but whatever, you know what I mean? This is all the alphas in the Telegram. And there's just a bunch of stuff that makes Pulse Doge very special because it's community driven. Like when you look at things like Saitama, or you look at Doge, like the person who created Doge is still out there fudding his own bags. He literally came out with a brand new article that was like, guys, I really hope crypto doesn't work out. Like, I'm so surprised you guys are still in it. Like he literally said that. Well, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but it's just, that's the creator of Doge, and he's fudding that. I mean, regardless of tokenomics, it just floods itself. But I'm just saying, like, it's the community that makes all these things. It's things like what I'm doing. It's people like Gunther. It's the whales that he's attracting. It's literally, he's sounding the whale call, and they're out there. You never know when they're going to splash in. I know, it's crazy. And so, especially with these NFTs thing, it gives more value proposition. It gives more to talk about. It's like, yeah, picture of Doge, but also, hey, we're onboarding artists and we're doing a whole bunch of different things with our own ecosystem, and get in where you fit in, right? That's how I see it. Especially, it'll make more and more sense to a lot of people. It's just, I feel like we're at that real bell curve where it's like you have the smart people, and then you have the people that are like, we're the potatoes, and then you got the actual normal people where they're like, well, where's the value? Where's this? And then, they got to be convinced. And that's what I'm saying. It's just, I feel like we're there.
We are there. We're 100% there.
I want to bring this over to Hod Pro for a second. What are your interactions with any of these meme coins. What's your meme coin story, if you have one? I don't know anything about. You seem like you were in the art background, so that kind of translates into the meme coin space.
Yeah, I think they do have their utility. Meme coins have a utility. It's to pump and trade and to actually, weirdly enough, I'm a hodler. Yeah, I'll make jabs at traders, just in fun. But meme coins are a very good practice tool for trading as well, right? You go in there, you learn a lot about trading and charts and everything through meme coins. And yeah, of course you can make money. It's the volatility, to use volatility to your benefit and to watch a chart, see when it will go up, watch the adoption. Meme coins can be really great. They can also be rugs, right? And obviously I think that, Pulse Doge is not a rug. It has a real community behind it. They're not out to just pump and dump people. But in general, meme coins, you have to be careful and do a little bit of research, make sure it's not that sort of coin or token. That's pretty much it. They're tokens. They're as valid as any other tokens. If you want to have
Did
it,
you
want to
participate in any of those spaces in your own personal life? Not like
Yeah, I have
that's
mac
too
and
much of a
cheese.
question. I'm not trying to get into your shit either.
No, that's fine. I have mac and cheese and everything. I've never gotten a Doge.
Mac
I've never
and
gotten
cheese.
Doge.
What is mac
What
and
is mac
cheese?
and cheese?
Oh, it was airdropped to Hexicans. It's
Is it
someone
still
made
claimable?
it. It's still claimable.
I've never even heard of it.
I think it was just during the sacrifice phase that it was claimable. I don't think so anymore.
It's
But
not
yeah,
like
that-
I'm
I
a
mean,
crypto.
that's an
I'm a
example.
crypto analyst, and I missed the whole mac and cheese.
Helgo's being made too, and that's actually kind of the economics of that is to actually pump the hex price.
What do you know about Helgo?
I know that have you read the paper of White?
I actually have.
Ooh.
Yeah,
it's
interesting
basically
enough
a
because
meme coin.
Gunther brought it.
Hungarian. Yeah, Gunther knows a lot about it too, actually.
I'd like to bounce around about Helgo between all three of you guys.
Maybe he does.
Anything anyone knows about Helgo, I like the website. I like that it says buy hex in the corner. But
it's technically a meme coin, right? And it touts itself as such, and Pulse Doge as well. And no problem. Anything supporting Pulse on the Pulse ecosystem that isn't a scam, I'm willing to support, and I'm willing to look into Pulse Doge. I don't have any at the moment, but I could get some.
The Helgo is also supposed to help, from my understanding, with. Well, this is going to be good, but
There
this
we
is going
go.
to help with the dog coin, correct? But when we talk about that in a second, this is what DP actually paid for and set up.
No,
No, Sam.
Please give us the context, because that was my understanding.
no. You gotta look up It's a Metacat. I did a Metacat one with the Island Boys, and I can send you that one. It's on my phone.
I know. I caught all that when you told me. I just wanted to pull this up because it was funny.
yeah.
Bullish, are you there? If you're there, play it. He might not be there anymore.
Okay.
It's on his screen. But
big shout out to hex.com, man. I know you guys trying to get to the top, and you guys gonna do it. I understand it's your favorite crypto, and it's turning into my favorite crypto. So yeah, number one blockchain CD, the first one. Hey, I'm an island boy. I'ma keep it. I'm an island boy. I'ma see it like it's all what going. Tell the boy you better keep this going. I'ma keep it like it's seen the sun. I'm trying to make it down to the top. Big shout out to HexCon. Hey, stop playing.
Oh man, yeah,
Stop playing.
bear market.
Hey, by the way, the peak for Hex was the Island Boys. It was the Dancing on Graves eulogy video. Like that was recorded actually at the peak of Hex. All this stuff. These were all like signals for a crash. So heads up. So
Good point.
the reference.
we call those top signal memes
top
in the
signals.
game. I want to go
Helgo.
back to Helgo. That was just a nice little breakup. But I want to go back to Helgo because there's some serious stuff going on there. I read the white paper. I looked at the website. I'm not going to say I did a full deep dive, But well, I guess I kind of did. But tell me about it as far as the ethos more so. Like, what's the ethos for it? And I don't know who's involved in it, but I want to know more about it.
Well, it's a I think when you buy Helgo, you have to buy Hex. There's something about it like that. I haven't.
Yeah, when PulseChain launches, you could
Yeah.
go in with Hex. I think over a period of 30 days, and then get Helgo, and you'll get more Helgo when you do that.
Yeah, so
have to
it's
go in with Hex.
pumps. It will pump Hex in that regard, but it's still a meme coin. Helgo is the bottom indicator. He's a person, and it's pretty well made.
It's essentially a meme token on the surface, but it has very deep tokenomics built into it. Like,
Yeah, it does.
farm it,
Hilariously
stuff.
so.
There's a lot to it. You could really just go to helgo.io and start reading up on it. It's not going to be on Ethereum. It's only going to be on PulseChain. So my suggestion would be at least go to the site helgo.io, read all the information, and start thinking about it and see if that's a place that you'd want to put some of your money. And then maybe when it launches, you could take some of your Hex and go into that. Or if you don't have Hex, you could buy Hex. And I think it's a good play. It's also a nice way. So if Pulse Doge is the Trojan horse to bring in all the money from meme tokens that are outside of our ecosystem and outside of our communities,
Which
then
it is.
This is what we want to create. This is what we want it to be. I mean, it's going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight. But then what we could do is we could have people easily transition from Pulse Doge and add to their meme token position with Helgo. But then when they get to Helgo, it introduces them to Hex. And then when they get to Hex, we can start teaching them about staking ladders and all of that, and delayed gratification and like your earning interest and all that. And then because obviously this is all on PulseChain, now they're introduced to Pulse and PulseX. So that's why I keep bringing home that's why I keep emphasizing it's a Trojan horse. We're showing you our cards, we're showing you our hand, but it's a Trojan horse that could be very profitable for people because think about it. It was airdropped to the best holders in all of crypto, hexagons, right? To like stakers. And even though some people murder the price and dump the price down, and even well-known public figures been dumping the price down, people that would shock you to like shorting, not like using leverage, but just like selling Hex down with millions of tokens so they could come back in with a stronger position. I won't dox those people, but I will say there are some very prominent figures doing that. But anyway, with Pulse Doge, you have an ultra low liquidity environment. You have a super scarce supply that's hard capped once the 100-day claim phase ends. When the claim phase ends, the OA, the Hex OA, the real origin address, 7C03, and also the benevolent address, can mint 10 tokens per address that was claimed, and that's the stack they get. Mm-hmm. However, with Pulse Doge, it has several whales. And you can look at the top wallets in Pulse Doge, just different addresses. They've never sold any Hex tokens. Sorry, never sold any Pulse Doge tokens. These whales have a stronger position than the OA and the BA combined. This means that they can protect and defend the price for a very long time. It appears as though these whales are working in harmony or in unison, but nobody really knows. It just appears that they have I'd say, a desire to make everyone in Pulse Doge very wealthy. And the way that you do that is you hoard the asset. You just buy. All you do is hit the buy button and hoard. Buy button and hoard. Where was I going with all this? So I guess my point is this. You can use Pulse Doge to your advantage. You could make a lot of money in this asset. And then down the road, maybe 2 years down the road, scrape some profits into Hex. Maybe you scrape 10% of your position into Hex, or we're just, it's an arbitrary number, right? Yeah. Or you scrape some profits into Pulse or PulseX or other assets that you like. So I think this whole argument of like, oh, Pulse Doge just wants to leech off the Hex community and just wants to take their money. I think that's just a very weak argument. That's very biased, prejudicial, and a manipulation of the facts and of the truth. Let's start being honest with ourselves about this stuff.
Hey, if Hex got low enough, I might think about swapping some of my free Pulse Doge, some of my free Pulse Dogecoin for Hex. Why not? I'm a young guy. I don't have full bags. Like I'm not. Let's be honest for 1 second, okay? Let's say I had no money left in fiat, and then I had the blessing of claiming my free Dogecoin, Pulse Dogecoin. And now, let's say Hex got to a level where maybe I had never DCA'd in before, like maybe like under a penny or something, whatever happens, right? Then I have some extra capital that I can actually swap some of it into Hex and maybe stake that 5555.
Yeah, why not? There's plenty of people that have done this. Plenty of users have taken their free money and swapped it for Hex and built stakes. We fully support that 100%.
Yeah, and I could.
This is what a free market looks like.
That could be someone's life savings for the rest of their life. Like, let's say someone never got involved in the Pulse Dogecoin chat. I'm sure Gunther wouldn't mind if they dumped their 10 grand or 5 grand or 2 grand, or anyone that was in the Pulse Doge community would not care because they'll buy that shit right up, probably.
It's a
you know what I mean? So, but that gives them an opportunity. That gives a random person that has nothing to do with Pulse Dogecoin or the chat or the meme. They just forget about it, whatever. Even if it blows up, who cares? They don't remember. They don't care. Some people don't care. Gives them the opportunity to have an actual Hex stake of any length that's actually pretty substantial. It's substantial. I'm talking, I think if you got one T-share, I'm not sure the calculation, but I think if you had one T-share, you got 100 Pulse Dogecoin, Sam. So I think that's right. So I don't know if you only had one, like what, I don't know like which league.
It's all based on the leagues. You could go to pulsedoge.com and see all the leagues. So the smallest position got, I think 5 tokens if they free claimed. And then the largest position is 900. But even just assuming, like, let's say you're like a dolphin, you got 900 tokens and the price is what, $4? That's $3,600. You could cash out. Hey, what's up, Maddie? You could cash out your position and go right into Hex or anything else that you want to go into. It's like it's your private keys, it's your coins, it's your money, it's your choices, it's your responsibility. You do what you
know, Sam. Even the small holders of Hex had a bit of a bump. Like I don't know the ratio, but like even small holders got like $1,000 worth roughly at the current price. I'm pretty sure like people with one T-share got like $1,000. $1,000. Think about that. You were just doing your thing, working, and they came out and gave you $1,000. Doesn't matter if you ever look at the Telegram. Doesn't matter if you ever engage with Twitter. Doesn't matter if you ever engage with Instagram. Doesn't matter, right? You could swap that for Hex. That could literally change someone's life.
Well, this conversation, right, has been like, well, Sam, I should probably get in there and at least claim Pulse Doge because I haven't done that, right? 2 things that I wanted to hear opinions on the kind of roadmap going forward for this, but also the NFT is so because like if somebody was like, here's an NFT, or it was like, okay, cool, thanks. Like, what's the point for me? Like, and I understand that like other people have points of view on this, and that it's valuable. It's just not how I see things. So, is there anything that this NFT does that's going to be associated with the socks? I'm curious. And then also, and then on the other side, and then the other thing is, this is probably going to have to be an iterative process over time, like as Gunther mentioned, to scale adoption. So I want to hear your thoughts on that first, but the NFT thing first, please.
Yeah, great question. The biggest problem presented was always like, okay, I got an NFT, like what now? And it was always like, okay, well, the art's great, but as the space evolved, people wanted more and more. So we're really reaching into the digital item claim, and that's pretty much physical and digital world where you pretty much have a digital set of something and then you can claim a physical set of something, right? Also probably delivering passive rewards. I mean, the way the tokenomics set up and with everything that Gunther said, you have to realize he's pretty much framing on Ethereum. There's a whole entire exciting episode that comes when PULSECHAIN launches, and we have such incredible financial momentum and power that that PRT token, might be coming over to the Pulse Doge system, so to speak. You know what I mean? We could be using that thing pretty well, or doing some sort of like buybacks. You know, there's just so much in the works, is what I'm trying to say. As soon as PulseChain launches, and the whole idea of why it's attractive is because you can kind of trust the liquidity. You can kind of trust the bigger players and the people that.
What do you mean by that when you say you can trust the liquidity? Because at any moment, any one person, right, coming in from the outside, being skeptical, i.e. myself, right? So at any point, anybody could pull liquidity or add liquidity. So when you say you can trust liquidity, what's like the understanding, the context that gives you that, to use those words for that?
So when I say trust the liquidity, what I'm implying is that I'm assuming that it's more stable and it's more predictable. And I feel like for whales and people that, you know, where slippage is an issue and they're losing, you know, thousands of dollars on certain trades, it's these things might be very attractive. You know, I'm not working with those kinds of bags, and I'm not you know, like hyper focused, but I'm just trying to assume and put myself in certain positions. And Gunther, so the other thing is that like with most successful meme coins and meme communities is that they do have whales, and those whales are usually docs. They usually have like, they're usually like the community speakers, and that's kind of what ends up happening in you know, in this meme coin space. And Pulse Doge has a few whales that are you know, willing to go ahead and put themselves out there, and we have one God whale. And so, you know, the God whale can speak of that a little bit better as far as why that might be attractive, and if that is even something to consider. Gunther, am I speaking on my ass here, or is that something that's actually
No, I don't think so. I mean, honestly, to kind of answer your question about trust, can you trust any large players in any crypto?
Right.
I mean, you really can't. I mean, it's true. I guess over time you learn to trust certain wallets that maybe demonstrate good behavior, but even wallets that have a consistent demonstration of good behavior, even if they make one mistake, you know, they could be like ostracized and judged forever. Like they're always going to do that same. They're always going to have like that same psychology or that same behavior, which is not necessarily true. Let me give you an example. D01. Everyone hated D01. D01 still living rent-free in the minds of everyone, right?
For people that don't know, that's the address that he's just mentioning, a certain address.
Yeah, exactly. It's the last three of a certain address of Ethereum address that just mega dumped multiple times. And like,
so was that address maybe not known for dumping Gunther at the time?
No. So my point is that D01 has been a well-known dumper.
Okay.
That's just like murdered the price on a few occasions. However, D01 has evolved. D01 is like extracting value in a more intelligent way. So you can't just go by one action with like chain analysis is more complex. People make all kinds of assumptions and jump to false conclusions. Silver the Antidote would be a good example of someone jumping to false conclusions, like basically piecemealing things together, making assumptions that you cannot verify or validate, and then running with that and then propagating that all over Twitter. It's not really like, it's just not good. It's not good forensic analysis. So for example, let me give you an example. Some of the top wallets recently in Pulse Doge actually sent money to certain addresses of users within the ecosystem or within the community for some of the work that they've done, but with creating memes or creating NFTs or just their contributions to the community. And someone that looks at the wallet might be like, see, they own all those addresses because the addresses are connected. And then if those wallets ever start selling, they can be like, well, see, these top wallets are selling. Well, that's poor forensic analysis. You've made a set of assumptions and you've come to a certain conclusion, but you cannot validate or verify that those assumptions are actually true.
Correct. Because you could tell the story in the opposite direction. It's
exactly.
Just a story you choose to believe in one way or the other.
You could paint any narrative. You could be like, well, like people know me for dumping Hedron, but I see he cashed out and then he used that to go like buy a Tesla, and then he like went on some fancy trip to Italy, and now he's just like hanging out with a bunch of hot, beautiful women in Italy. Or you could actually go through the transactions.
That sounds dope, though.
That
That sounds dope. Just for
It does.
Focus.
Hey,
Gunther, go ahead.
But you could actually go through the transactions and see, follow the money trail. Where did the money go? Start thinking like the FBI or the CIA or the IRS and actually do some real fucking research instead of coming up to like false conclusions. I guess I'm just sick. I guess I'm sick of these shitty analysts that pretend to be as if they work for the FBI or the CIA or the IRS. They really have no fucking clue what they're talking about. So just be careful not to jump to conclusions. And I've done this before too. I've made the same mistake about D01 and maybe about others. Don't jump to conclusions, do research. But my point with all this is about trust, right? Getting back to your question. How can you trust them? It's hard. You have to establish and build trust over time. Richard Hart, people didn't trust him. People don't trust the OA that has over 3,000 addresses. But guess what? Over time, you could demonstrate that those addresses have never sold hex tokens, and it builds confidence and trust in the community. And I think that's really important. So I would suggest, or I would posit possibly that maybe Pulse Doge whales might actually be benevolent. They might not just be rug me daddy wallets, but more like magic carpet ride wallets. I'm just throwing that out there. Food for thought. Maybe they want to make a bunch of people wealthy, a bunch of people that are impoverished. Maybe they want to turn them into multimillionaires. We don't know. We can't speculate. We don't have a crystal ball. We can't predict what will happen in markets. But we do know that centralized ownership works really well. We know when you have a scarce asset and it's hoarded by whales, and then they just keep buying and buying, and then you get adoption from other meme coin communities, it could potentially do well. It could go to zero like any other investment. Right? So don't bet the farm. Don't bet your house. Don't be stupid. Don't gamble with money you can't afford to invest. But maybe you buy some and hold it for 5 years or 10 years or even 2 years. Maybe you might do pretty well. Maybe.
Here's something funny I'm thinking about too is it's feasible because we're kind of creating an ecosystem, right? The Pulse ecosystem, and it consists of hexagons mostly now, but it would be funny if some of these old whale address, like, oh no, they're dumping the price of Hedron or dumping the price of Hex. And I'm so mad, but then they're actually just buying up a different asset that you have. So they're pumping the prices up because you got.
That's a good point. That happens.
All the same people.
That definitely happens. Like,
yeah. So like, oh, never mind. I'm not mad anymore. Thanks.
Right. That's what we're. So again, we're
it's not stable coin, you bastard.
I hate to interrupt. I have to run. I have some obligations, but you guys have a great stream, and I'll come back and watch the rest and rejoin if I can.
All right.
enjoy it. Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you so much for your time, Gunther. I appreciate
I
it.
will be claiming my Pulse Doge. So
Perfect.
thank you for the conversation today.
Dump it on our head so we can have it. All right.
No, there won't be any market selling from top wallets.
I mean, and so
I was talking about Sam's little bag, not yours.
Hey, what bags do I have? Who knows? Maybe
Who knows? Hey,
Who knows?
what bags do any of us have? I promise I'm gonna say I'm broke on here until I'm 90. I don't care if I make $1 billion or not. Nobody needs to know what they.
Yeah.
Everyone has their doxed addresses, of course.
And even if you bought big bags, well, maybe you put the seed words in a glass bottle, went out to the Pacific or Atlantic Ocean, and tossed it overboard.
Or maybe you sent them to Jim Rat. Everyone send your seed phrases to Jim Rat.
you know, it's sad we're gonna lose Gunther before we end up talking about available liquidity. So
No, you guys continue on. I'll try to come back. If I can.
We got plenty of questions. Thank you so much, Gunther. We'll talk to you soon, man. Have a great day.
appreciate that.
Well, that sounds like a good segue there, DP. So, what are you talking about with the? You said What was it? Presentable liquidity or?
Oh, available liquidity.
Please.
So, oh man, I'm not on the potato, right? So, I mean, I know very, very basic knowledge on all of this. I'm as a community member, my whole thing is just kind of focusing on other ecosystems. But what I understand as far as available liquidity within the Pulse Doge system is that claims are drying up, meaning the amount of people that are claiming are going down, right? And Pulse Doge already has a limited set of supply available right now on market, and what's available is pretty much, I think, within 40,000 just PLSD, and there's a huge buy wall around 360 370 mark. So
Can you describe that? What does that mean?
so how I understand that is that people that are selling, it's just being bought right up by the people that are offering liquidity, by the whales that are providing liquidity. It's just being bought right up. And once the supply dries up within certain price ranges, it's just so much easier for the price to move up or down, just depending on who's offering what in certain areas. So as I understand it, again, just the claims are drying up and the amount of people that are becoming aware of Pulse Doge are increasing. I mean, I'm reading Bristology in the chat, and again, I mean, the biggest thing, my whole focus is, again, not trying to get that recycling of financial value from just big players to smaller players, and it's great.
How do you kind of spread your wings with the marketing a little bit? It seems like something that you're into, right? Like you like to run around, you like to talk to different people, you like to. So what is your kind of thing? I think one of the questions early on that Briz had was, how are you guys outreaching, or how is the meme coin space outreaching to other spaces that are away from the Hexagon community?
It's been really tough. I mean, especially with the stigma that Hex carries. Even reaching out to these callers like Mate House and Eric Cryptoman and B Roots and the Pied Pipers of the Degens. Essentially, they won't even leave their community to ours, and it's just it's been really tough trying to kind of figure out how to include the rest of crypto and also our warm market. We're a bunch of normal people, and we have a bunch of normal people in our lives, and it's like, how do we even talk to them about what we're doing? How do we even get them to be interested?
Well, I think the way that I kind of approach it, and I'd like to have everyone else's take on this too, like when it comes to the marketing, I kind of try to punch a little bit right through the Hex thing, like the Hex stigma. Like I'm new, like the guys that are coming in that are new, like, the newer guys, the newer generation, there's going to be less and less stigma as we go. I just try to pretend it's cool and it's no big deal. Like I don't bring up like major controversy with Hex because it's all stupid anyway. I just like move on, right? Like that's the way that I approach it. I'm just like, hey, we're bodybuilder guys. We love crypto. This is where we're at. And it's a sticky way to do it because I get DMs all the time that they're like, oh, you're bodybuilding, oh, you're doing this. Like they're not necessarily into me because of my exact crypto portfolio as much as like a lot of the other Hexicans. They're like clearly like rich Hexicans. And like that, like I tell people all the time, if Hex went to zero, my life would change this much other than what I would be talking about. So that changes the way that people interact with me. You know what I mean? People interact with me. I'm like, I'm not on team shit. You guys can say whatever you want about your fat $100 million bags or whatever. Like, you don't own me.
Right.
For what? Like, just because I'm a Hexican, just because I have Hex stakes, just because I like have a staking ladder and support immutable DeFi, the only immutable DeFi. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, I'm just trying to like overcool it, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm just trying to be like, hey, like gym life, real life, family life, girlfriend life. Like, it's all cool. Like, I love Hex too. And like, I want people to come to me because they like me, because that breaks through that. Like, I didn't want this just to be like the Hex channel, right? Because then people wouldn't watch it.
Right.
Period. End of story. A certain cap amount of people would watch it, and every person that started Hex staking would watch it. But I'm getting bodybuilding. Me and Sam are doing a bodybuilding podcast tonight, where we're not talking.
6 p.m. EST on my channel if you guys want to check it out. 6 p.m. EST. Bullish, will you post that in the comments, please? And we're going to start doing that, like that kind of stuff. And we're going to try to bridge the gap that way. So I think for everyone in general, like I don't care about what people, I'm like a hod pearl in this way. Like people can say whatever. People have been calling me a little shit my whole life. Ain't nothing changing on that. So like, I ain't worried about all that. People say I'm narcissistic, I'm crazy. I'm like, dude, I come on here. I'm more transparent than any motherfucker you know. So you can absolutely suck my balls. And I'm not shilling anything. Who's paying me to sit here? Who's paying me to talk? No one. Figure out who's paying the people that you're talking to. You'll find out that some people don't get paid for like, I don't take bribes.
You know what I mean? Like I don't care that much.
Being ripped is such a social plus
True.
10. You don't have to, no matter what, you could always be like, oh yeah, suck it, you know,
Yeah.
and like it actually works.
It does. It does. And you can be really
People are
nice. Like
jealous.
when you're ripped, you can be really nice. People are like, they could probably beat my ass, but like they're super friendly. So great. You know, like
Plus it's also an advantage too, because you get like the stereotype in the opposite direction that is portrayed in mainstream media, like movies and television shows, that if you have muscle, that you're dense mentally, right? Or that you are mean, or you're a jerk, right? And so it's easy to go through and break through that, because then you're like, yeah, I'm jacked. Yes, I'm lean. Yes, I know what I'm talking about. Yes, I'm like all this other shit above and beyond that. Oh, and I like to help people, and I'm nice, and all this stuff. So it's relatively easy to break through, because there's that. That's what the world tells you, as in like the narrative they like to spread. So it's a little bit easier to break through. So I'm curious to see. I've been in that world for a long time. That's what like a lot of my business is in, and tying the two of those together is going to be interesting. And that was the reason that I brought up like earlier the hidden wallet, because I was like, dude, I can use this for my business to help run a business. Like that's going to be dope to be able to do something. Hardpill, a few moments ago, you were, when he was talking about liquidity, you were doing something like that with your pen. Did you? I thought you had something to say, or were you just?
Oh, I'm just fiddling around. But I actually do twitch around a lot when I'm thinking about stuff. And I when I do streams, I write stuff down. So that's why I have my pencil. I have my little, stuff. I'm taking notes. I always take notes when there's multiple people on the stream. There's a lot to learn.
There's a ton to learn. How can somebody, Gunther was like talking about whale addresses, right? So, right, I've been in crypto for 90 days, right? And
wow, welcome. Awesome.
Thank you. And I'm like, and I like the analytics or the background analysis type stuff. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, agree, right? You can paint whatever fucking story you want with the data, right? Look at what Big Pharma's done over the last 36 months, right? But the point is, how do you get to the source of the information? So somebody's like, hey, Pulse Doge, cool, interesting. This is an interesting conversation, but I'm gonna use the functioning GradeNoter I have and actually go look into this. I want to find the top 20 wallets that are holding Pulse Doge. What are the semantics? How does somebody actually do that?
Well, there are, like, I'll say Hex, for example, with some of the higher, wallets, some of the sites that analyze the activity will actually have some of the wallet address info. But if you go on the Telegram's great for this, right? Because so Etherscan really is what you'd use.
But how do you find those the top ones, or is it just searching in a fucking, like, what is the term?
Are you talking about the top wallets?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you find the top wallets?
You just go to Etherscan, or there's
and do what? Like you go to Etherscan.
You gotta be. Everyone.
There's a whole
150 different ways to research ETH address. I guess some people wouldn't know, but
you don't know what name is necessarily on
but it'll
the
show
wallet,
you the address.
But
but how do you so somebody's like,
this isn't really a technical. We're not pulling up anything, Sam.
No, this is 100% selfish question from myself.
No, I know, but like it's not the right.
How do I find the top 10 addresses in any coin that I want on Etherscan? You pull up the token of that, and you're like, hey, Dogecoin. How do I find the top 10 addresses in Doge?
Yeah.
Like we don't actually have to pull it up, but so you go to the specific token, and you can search by volume. This is exactly what I was looking for. Perfect. Thank you.
I know.
You know what? It's for other people to not do that.
Selfish question.
No,
trust me, Gunther's doing that. Moby Dick
new.
Whales.
What did you say, DP?
Nothing.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say, is that it's like this industry, we take our knowledge for granted. You're 90 days new, and it's just, we're laughing, but it's like, dude, this is what I have to deal with all the time.
Question.
And, my dentist is like sacrifice for PULSECHAin, and
It is technical though.
Right?
It's a great question. I just think it's the wrong context.
And I don't care what people think. So I'm like,
No, but I'm the show
go to those
host. So I
rooms.
just we pull stuff up when we're talking about something that you have to click through and it's not pulled up, but then Bullish pulled it up. So I
That's a
didn't
good
know.
question for Telegram as well, Sam.
Yeah, Telegram's a really good resource, Sam, and I think that's
They'll
kind
tell
of
you how to do it.
where we're getting at too. Like a lot of these like detailed questions for anyone in the comments that wants to know, like little detailed questions like this. Like people will everything that you could possibly want. If you go to these specific Telegrams and ask these questions, it'll clear up a lot of the learning curve for a lot of this stuff. Like really quick too. Like, within, a couple days, if you ask the right questions in these chats, you will be 100% up to speed on exactly what's going on. And any questions like that you have that are specific. And we can look up, like we could do a full episode. And that's kind of what I meant. Like we could do a full episode on how to do that. Like
that answer, I mean, like if I know where to find that information now, I can go actually look at each one of those myself. I wasn't aware to find the actual addresses associated with any coin or token. How do you find those top 20, 30 addresses? So
there's definitely a learning curve to using Etherscan and reading Etherscan as well. And I think that's kind of like why, because you're asking the general question. I understand, like, okay, how do I look this up? But the real answer is Etherscan. Then you get to learn how to use it, which, if it does involve a few more questions and a few more clicking around and just getting used to it as well. So,
and we're going to have some guys coming on here in the next week that are pretty much professionals at doing that.
It's fascinating.
Axis, let's just say Axis can work his way around the blockchain pretty well. And we've all done biceps in the chat for Axis already. And I've spammed him over and over again, and, let's get him on here by force. Like let's take it away from
everybody. If you want to see Axis, you can go down below to click over to Twitter and then just tweet at him and tag us and be like, "Yo, you need to come on the show, or we're not following you." And just mass do that, and just force him to come.
Ultimatums.
As we wrap up here, guys, is there anything that you want to talk about? Like, is there any questions that you have? Is there anything that you're like doing, work projects you're doing, stuff that you're into? Like, I don't care, like whatever it is, I want to know about it. But if you don't have anything to, it's like some people will be doing other shit.
Like
I'm
you
waiting
said,
for Hex to pump. I'm waiting for the moment for it to happen. And I don't know what PULSECHAIN is going to do to the chart, right? How that parity is going to meet, if it's upward or downward, probably downward, and then it'll go back up.
Can you talk real quick? Can you talk about like what you think about the Hex right now, the whole market? Like, I don't know too much about how much you look into these stuff, but like, what's your perspective on all that as someone who probably has a lot of experience?
Well, it's fascinating because some liquidity has been taken out of the liquidity pool for Hex and dumped on the market. So what that means is there's less liquidity, and of course the price is lower. But how much longer can that price remain lower when people want Hex and when the liquidity is low, right? It's very bullish to me. PULSECHAIN coming out is going to affect the normalcy of what I would guess what would happen on a chart. So from what I see, because Pulse is going to launch, similar thing happened at the end of the sacrifice phase for Pulse when people were trying to dollar cost averages. And I hate to blame whales, but a lot of them wanted to lower the price, or like dump until the price got lower and buy up more. That's it's something that happens very often. Sometimes that dumping is indicative of a big thing happening, right? Because you have a lot of these whales and dolphins and the higher level of hexagons. They're smart people. They're not dumb. They're not just lucky. You can see their movements, and some of them are investment firms. Some of them aren't just one person. You have to think about that too. Some of these people that only operate Monday morning to Friday night are actually in a big building somewhere, not just some,
interesting.
So, and not even necessarily English speaking countries either. So to think about what would be in their best interest if they're professionally doing this with their money and other people's money, whatever. Um, what would they want before PulseChain launch? Perhaps a cheaper price. Some of these whales, and it's too bad Gunther's gone. I was going to talk to him about one of these guys just making a massive short-term stake. But what that could mean is, and I don't know if this is the case, but you have to analyze all of these things. Think about the strategy people are doing. You're not necessarily right, but your probability of being onto something is pretty high. Maybe
What do you
trying
think
to
the biggest negative externality of Hex is?
negative externality.
Or like,
of
what do you think if anything, I mean, obviously we can all see the price chart. It's basically outperformed everything. So you can say it has less negative aspects to it than most cryptos, which I agree. That's why I like it the most.
Mhm.
But like when I study Hex, the thing that comes up the most in my mind when I'm looking is those short-term, really large stakes. Like how many of those people how much money do they actually have? How long could they actually milk those short-term stakes? Because then it's just pricing guys like me out on the T-share rate anyway, and they're sucking a lot of the liquidity out. But like, again, it's all long-term stuff. Like my stake length is 11 years plus for my stakes, but I do have some liquid. When I think of like, we're minting more Hex in a lot of the people that have Hex, yes, a good actor, bad actor, that's kind of what you're going into. Like you have to observe all these things, but some people just have a very large volume, right? And then how much money is too much money when the price starts? You know what I mean?
As somebody who's holding for a long time, I don't even see people taking profit as a bad actor or dumping or like eating it on the slippage. I mean, they're their own worst enemy doing that. But and you have to think, if you're going to eat this kind of slippage right before a PulseChain launch, what are you trying to do? You're probably trying to dump the price of Hex before the PulseChain launch. That's my guess. I could be completely wrong. These short-term stakes, what happens when, you guys know about, emergency end stakes, you get the fees. During times of high volatility, it sometimes, and you have to think about, okay, the gas price versus how long I'm doing this, and large players actually stand to benefit with volatility on other stakes during, or benefit on other emergency end stakes on the chain during times of high volatility. And that could be a reason why there's a short-term, someone would make a short-term stake, right? One of my reasonings is, or something I came up with that could be a possibility is, let's say you wanted to collect, a lot of people on the Ethereum Hex are going to try to exchange that for PHEX, right? I've heard a lot of people, but I think PHEX is going to be worth more. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yes, I agree. People have said
So considering that, when the fork happens, what do you think is going to happen to all of these large upcoming stakes on the Ethereum side? Do you think people will emergency end stake?
Hell no. They'll probably buy more.
No, they'll probably, well, I mean, it all depends, but on what happens. But if people are going to exchange Ethereum Hex for PHEX, they might emergency end stake on the EHEX side. You know what I mean? To get more liquid, to mess with EHEX and on PulseX, right? To be a liquidity provider.
But don't you think so many of those people that are actually staked would have sacrificed a large amount? I don't know. There's a lot. It's just so
because they
much.
made those stakes long ago.
True.
Right.
When you look at like, so
True.
when I look at that, you have,
it's all conjecture anyway.
It is all conjecture, and you can take a look and you think about each step. So you go through each piece of it, right? So you're like, okay, there's gonna be 4 versions of Hex. You're gonna have 2 on each side, 2 on the PulseChain side, a wrapped version on each side. If the ratios are trading at 1 for 2 on either side, then somebody, right, has an incentive to bring more through the bridge from the other side to double their bank. Right?
Yeah.
It just makes sense to do that, which then pushes things to parity very quickly, especially when one person owns the vast majority of everything in one
But
thing.
what's that volatility going to do post-launch on the Ethereum side? The payout per T-share will be large, right? So
Payout per T-share. So you're thinking
on the Ethereum side, if it's volatile.
If it's volatile,
it's possible. This is all just a possible.
No, yeah. No, I appreciate the perspective. Why do you believe that could be possible? I'm not saying it could be or could be. I'm wanting to know the reason behind why you believe it could be high.
Well, if you go, I often look at, and I think this is important for Hexicans who trade. And if I'm taking up too much time talking about this, let me know.
No, you're not. Here, 0%.
I'll try to keep it concise.
This is amazing, and I don't have any time limit, so I think Sam.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I gotta get off. I gotta get off at 1, but like I want to hear your answer.
Oh, for your time.
I'm gonna say.
Okay, so apphex.win/charts is a good, quick way to look at win stakes end. And I think a lot of Hexicans don't necessarily utilize this function when thinking about what to do with their hex. When many people's stakes end, they tend to take profit, right? And I called the dip because there were gigantic May stakes coming out. I'm like, what's going to happen? What percentage of people stake 100%, or they just stake another 5? Not all of them, right? They go and they take profit. So what happens to the price? It's a redistribution phase, right? The whales, the larger players, I want to say whales, are distributing to the smaller players, and that's really what's happening. Holders don't care. This is a normal part of a crypto. Yeah, when there are massive stakes ending, the price is going to drop. And it's surprising to me that people don't look at this sort of thing when stakes end from other users. It's huge.
We talked about that in depth on 2 shows. Like you're like, oh wow, there's millions of shares of Hex coming out, and then stakes over the next several days. Even if a fraction of 1% of the total bags that's coming out dumps, it's still like 10 million shares or whatever.
And now I'm a big proponent of staking instead of trading Hex. But if you purely were to trade Hex, if you were to use it not for its maximum functionality, you could play it just by timing when the shares end. Pretty much, and you might make a profit just on that. So that means, yeah.
No, I think that's totally true.
Agreed. That's why Richard says most transparent blockchain. You could literally.
It is.
Right.
The moment this is on a centralized exchange, it's, I mean, Jesus.
It's a signaling effect, right? Like you look at anybody who's done any type of investing in like real life outside of crypto, like when they make a good investment and it turns out on average people pull either a small portion or a lot of it off the table. It's just what they do. And the same thing holds for stocks and bonds and other things, and the same thing holds for crypto. We just get to see when these people are going to dump some of their shit. That's all. Like it's across the board. It's kind of cool that we actually get to see that.
It's human behavior on a blockchain is all it is. That's all it is. It's all you're seeing. You're watching the Pareto distribution of wealth in real time, and you're watching it happen over time. And it's what humans do. It ends up being how we operate, financial or otherwise. Right? It's
cool because you can also see how the bags react to the world climate as well. You know what I mean? It's
they
like
do. Yeah.
Right.
What time? Yeah, absolutely. You can. And somebody asked me, okay, what do you think? And they're a rather new Hexican. What do you think the price of Hex could be at its highest? And I'm like, well, I don't know what fiat you're asking me. I mean, USD. What's going to happen with USD? Is there going to be massive inflation? If Hex is 5,000 USD, but it's 4,000 USD to buy a loaf of bread, how much is it, right? So that's hard. That's a very hard question to answer because there's 2 different variables going up and down.
So you're basically there's a if you're pricing things mentally in USD, what how Krill is saying is you
USD is volatile. It probably will be.
Yeah.
And we already know the 90-year plus chart of USD is down. Like, we already know that's happening. So your shit's going to increase relative.
So if
to that.
Hex were to, if the price of Hex, let's say, for example, were to stay the same, its price would be going up.
And that,
Technically.
what you just said
would.
is a concept that's hard for a lot of people to grasp.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing for some people to grasp. I have to jump. I've jumped. This has been awesome. Hudrell, DP, you guys are freaking awesome. I appreciate you guys coming on and sharing your information. This has been fun. If you guys watching want to catch GRC talking about fitness and myself and my buddy later tonight, come on to my channel. We're gonna dab there, and then we're gonna dab there. And I'll
if you make sure you send me that thumbnail and stuff so I can.
Yes, it's already up. I'll put it's already up and loaded on my other YouTube channel. Good. So I'll share it on Twitter shortly.
All right, get your ass out of here.
Peace, though.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing that bodybuilding podcast tonight. That's going to be good.
I'll try to check it out.
Yeah, the macroeconomic situation is rather crazy right now. So, I mean, for everyone that's listening, like, it could potentially be a rather dark time in general, moving, as far as financially over the next year, depending on how some of the stuff with the Senate in the United States politics goes. Depending, there's so many factors. We could talk all day long about a bunch of random factors that no one can control, right? Including legislation. Like they can legislate you out too. They can. They believe it or not, they can legislate out DeFi. Hex is great and all, but like, what do we get out into fiat? And just like HodPro was saying, USDC or whatever. And it's like it's a lot dependent on the banks. So it is weird that people like mention DeFi as some sort of like not attached to the bank thing. But it's like all attached. What does that mean?
Well, here's the one of the problems with people that are hard on DeFi just as a concept morally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of fuck the bank type of people is, I mean, there are people like that. And then there are people that, I used Coinbase, but I guess I'll use Matcha because fees are cheaper or something like that, right? Where they just happen to use DeFi, but they're still normies, right? People that are almost religiously DeFi tend to hold. They don't tend to trade. They don't tend to sell. So that doesn't really help the value if everybody holds. Well, it does. It makes the price go up, but at some point, somebody has to sell. At some point, somebody has to come in. At some point, there has to be new people, right? Or you just have basically the dark web again, which is kind of what it might turn into with this legislation. But I think that what's going to happen is these politicians they're going to try to be a part of it. They're not necessarily going to reject it. Some of them will, but they'll try to get theirs. They'll try to get the fees from it, or they'll probably make a decentralized national exchange with their national stable coin. I think they're going to probably try to do that. It might be surprising how they'll end up legislating it or trying to copy it, right?
Well, I don't know how surprising any of it will be. They're just going to do whatever they want and give everyone who's rich a horrible rate on something. And, they're going to wreck everyone in their own way, of course.
They're going to ultimately fail, though, because they're not as smart as the people who are designing.
Well, it's not. I don't know if they're not that smart, but there's too much. It takes too long.
It's
like legislation is like the slowest thing. Crypto's like the fastest thing. Like, Hedron. You were hearing about Hedron. Next thing you know, everyone has Hedron in their wallet, right? It's like, bam, like right in your face. Like, wow, how quick was that? Like airdrop 10x already down to 1x.
The quick people don't have to work for the government.
Yeah, that's why I'd say
they might, but they don't have to.
I just quit my job and I was like, I'm just going to study crypto all day, see what happens.
You could do that.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
I literally quit my job. I was making a pretty damn large amount of money. I was like, this shit's way too cool. I was like, I'm out. I'm out. Like,
I feel like on your deathbed, you're not going to regret
Fuck no. That's why you don't have
spending your
kids and
time
shit,
learning
though. Once you
new.
have kids, you're locked up.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not saying you're permanently locked up, but you have to go tend to them first.
For 18 years.
Well, if you're a billionaire, like having 2 kids isn't going to rough up your business venture too much. But like if you have like $3,000, like you're not.
Yeah, no,
you're
it's
gonna
a
be-
different game for people with families. They tend to be more risk averse, and rightfully so, right? You can't really blame them. Like, well, why don't you get into this opportunity? Like, because I have hungry kids. You know,
100%.
like that adrenaline rush isn't worth it if they're hungry, and it's a real. That's why like people get on Richard Hart for his stupid big PP growth marketing, but it's like he's not marketing to normal people right now. He's marketing to nerds on both sides of the spectrum, right? The IQ normie. That's what he's marketing to now, because in the middle, the fiat on-ramping right now is too difficult. This is too difficult for people who don't have the extra time to use it.
Oh, so
Now.
difficult.
Right now it is. It won't be. I think with the wallet, hopefully it has an easier fiat on-ramping system. We want this as easy to use as Coinbase is. Even though it's a centralized exchange, we need it to be easier to use for most people.
Yeah, it is
Until
tough.
then,
I mean,
the market is, you know.
insane. Like just for the new crowd. I mean, Sam, 90 days new, and you know he's spilling with questions, and I'm still learning, and I'm 2 years, and I haven't even touched. You know what I mean? Like I don't even touch my laptop. So there's just.
Well, good. I'm glad you have a separate laptop for that. That's smart. And Sam has a quick brain. He just keeps coming up with these things that he just massively wants to learn this stuff, and it's good. It's good that he's asking all those questions.
That's all he does. That's all he does is study.
I bet he's at that hungry phase.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to constantly keep consuming information, especially within this space. I mean, it's like being a programmer. You're always having to update and educate yourself into new programming languages, and it's the same thing with crypto. There's just so many things that are coming out, and it's like, you know, to touch on, you know, all the darkness and legislation and all that stuff that you guys were talking about. I think that's what makes memes so fun. People just they don't, you know, they just don't. They don't. It's like a. That's what makes the degeneracy fun as well. It's like why people go to the casino and why they go gamble. It's just like a let loose type of thing. You know what I mean?
I think the fun's more important. Like the fun that you're talking about is more important than people realize, because you need to want to do this. You need to want to quit your job for doing this, right? You need to want to like shitpost it on Twitter and art and NFTs. It's important for the blockchain to have a lot of people in it.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to do is make it fun. I mean, Jim Rat, you said that, you know, you try to have the streams more to, you know, cater to like a wider audience and a bigger crowd. It's like you have certain things hanging up on the wall, but it doesn't really define you, right? Yep. And so that's what I mean, like my whole thing with even the project that I'm helping.
Real quick, I want to shout out the $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Maddie All In. Hot Prill spitting mad knowledge. Thanks, GRC and DP too for your insights. Thank you so much, Maddie All In.
Maddie rocks. Thanks.
Such a chill guy, dude. Such a chill guy. He does so much. Anyway, but yeah, it's like you try to expand to a wider audience. The things behind you don't really define you, but it's just things that you're interested in, right? And so it's my whole thing with trying to get with just talking to general warm market and people I meet, like literally, is just trying to get them excited about crypto. Because even talking to them about crypto, they're like, you're in that risky thing. You should probably do a career. I'm just like, man, I came from a career. Like I came from certain things. I really don't like to get beat up like that. I hate certain things like about all that. And so that's why I'm trying to get people excited. And even when you like with my whole thing, my value proposition is talking to artists right now, like women artists. Hot Pro, I've commented on your art at one point, but that was a while ago. And yeah, it's beautiful. It was intense. And so it's just even talking to them, it's like I've offered money up front, and I've said, I've tried to describe like a whole mint and blah blah blah. If it's successful, there'll be more. But the whole thing is I'm valuing their time. And even when I'm saying, hey, I'm going to offer you money, they'll look me in the eyes and they'll say, hey, D, I just don't believe in crypto. I'm sorry. And that'll be it. And I can't, I'm not going to be like, hey, stop, please.
So many artists are, because of the proof of work. They have environmental concerns. I think that PULSECHAIN will be a huge hit with these artists that really bought into the propaganda. I hate to say it.
Right. And so
But
with those, it'll happen. I really believe adoption will happen. I really believe what we're doing is important and there will be a flood. But the whole point is that we're trying to convince the people that we can right now that the flood is coming. You know what I mean? Like that,
Yeah.
that's the hard part. That's the hard part right now. And so it's just, if you have any ideas on anything, that's like the whole, like this whole DAO, this stock thing, we're 3/4 filled out. We're already like 700 something out of 1,000 in a bear market.
Wow.
And I'm like, if we could do this in a bear market and we have this such solid community, what happens when the bull comes? What happens when people realize this is our chart during an inflation period? What happens when people realize, oh, y'all have NFT crowd? I mean, we have all these different, you know, blending of communities. We'll see.
Amazing stuff. This is the best community to be in during a bear market. There's no question in my mind.
There's no other community in a bear market. They just kind of disperse a little bit. You know, they all still there, but like they're focusing on whatever. Hex is just like very passionate community, very, very passionate. And that's what you need. That's exactly what you need. And I think this is a good time to end. This has been a crazy good show, guys.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate this so much, and I hope you guys can come on again sometime in the future. We talked about a lot of stuff today, guys. It's been an incredible episode. Hodpril, DP, thank you so much. Gunther was in here earlier, guys, killing it. Make sure you follow these two, and I'll drop their Twitters below before I finish. Follow them, follow the show, hit the like, hit the subscribe, guys. Share it out to a friend that's getting wrecked. And we will talk to you next time. We're going to play an outro video, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Young folks, you tripping on them motherfucker.
Richard Hart. Richard Hart.
Bought my hex from the fucking start. .1 every day we mark. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hairy start. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hairy start. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Checking my MetaMask moving. Look at the hex, he is mooning. Looking at why they be choosing. Peter is why they be losing. Pull chains out and they'll get me a check. He's gas up and it got me a mess. Remember the times he died collect. Hex I been eating, I'm dying in the best. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this post, I ain't letting go. Swerving the ring like a lamb.